And good afternoon. I'm Todd Ryan here, live from our studios of Cool. Joining me right now is legislative representing is Lupe Diaz. Lupe, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Todd. It's great to be here with you. And,
Congratulations, by the way, on your re-election.
yeah, and I want to just take a moment to thank everybody that voted for me and supported our campaign. Thank you so much for all that you did and get us up to the Capitol.
We want to remind folks or maybe you can remind folks what areas you actually represent. You do represent Cochise County, but also some other counties as well.
Cochise County, except for Bisbee, Olive Graham, Olive Greenlee, part of Pima, and part of Santa Cruz. So it's a very agriculture area.
The legislative season is underway. You just started, I want to say, last week?
Yeah, that was Monday.
Monday.
So Monday we were sworn in, and we heard the State of the State address, and I was shaking my head most of the time. It was very challenging, especially for the rural communities, and because I do chair Land, Agriculture, and Rural Affairs, that one hit home with us, especially the senator and representative of our district, and myself. So.
Well, one key issue affecting your district is an active management area in Willcox. What is AMA?
Okay. So the active management area is actually the AMA is an active management area. It came in during the 1980s, and it's designed to be able to manage the waters in these cities like Phoenix and Tucson, the big urban areas. And so the purpose of that is to be able to manage the waters coming out compared to the waters going in. But the way that the laws are written, it really comes against the agricultural community, and that's what concerns us the most. So. With the AMA, there's a lot of different things that takes place with the AMA, and basically what it is that the state comes in and begins to put together a plan, but it's really dictatorial in how people can use their water. And to me, the property right, the water right is attached to your property right, and the way that the laws are written, it does not provide that property right, the exclusive water right with your property. And so that's a problem with me because it's not constitutional. And so we've been looking at a lot of the laws, and we're really wanting to change those, but we can't do anything with that because we have a Democratic governor right now. And at the State of the State address, she challenged us and promised that she would veto every water bill that comes across her desk.
So even though there was a referendum, a water referendum, was it a few years ago in Willcox?
Yes.
And the citizens said no. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Describe that a little bit more. And the governor is basically going against the citizens of Willcox.
That's exactly what's going on.
Okay.
So let me I can explain that. And I was part of that whole process. With the Douglas with the Douglas Water Basin and the Willcox Water Basin, or the Douglas portion of that Willcox Water Basin. It's all the same. So we find that we found that they were promoting and wanting to control the waters in Douglas and in Willcox. That's what they wanted to do. So ADWR came down and they explained the water situation in Willcox before it went to the ballot. And I was at those meetings, and Todd, to be able to see the ranchers as DWR was explaining this to them. What happened? You could see their faces begin to change because of all of the reporting requirements. They're going to have to. I heard at $2,800 a well. And they have to restructure a lot of their pipes and everything else. And they were shaking their heads. In Douglas, it was a different situation because the ADWR did not come to them before the election. And there were some special interest people that came into that area, and hired people to go door to door promoting this AMA. And it was not written in Spanish, and the big population of the Douglas community is Spanish. So they really didn't understand what was really going on. And they were lied to in many ways. So when it went to the ballot, the Douglas people voted it in, Willcox people voted it down. They voted it down. So now what we're faced with is that the governor, and there have been more public hearings talking about this AMA in Willcox because of the Willcox water basin and some of the wells that are going dry in that area. And so the ranchers, farmers, and the big players, the agricultural players out there, we're looking at a solution again. And there is local solution. There is local solution to help this whole problem. And the governor did not want to hear any of that. And it's egregious that she came in. And I want to tell you a story. I was talking to the tomato growing company that's up there in Willcox area. The governor came in and told them to come in. There's going to be plenty of water down here, and she wanted to see some economic growth that she could tell people that she's working with. And then she turns around and imposes an AMA on them, and they invested millions and millions of dollars. We toured the plant. This is Nature Sweet. Just toured the plant about a week and a half ago. And we were hearing about the amount of investment that they were going to be putting in there, and if it goes through the way that they're talking about, they're going to be losing about 400 employees. Well, they're going to have to cut back from the 400 employees that they have. So maybe over 200 people may have to be unemployed, and that's going across the agricultural area. And there are solutions. I spoke at the hearing that was in Willcox. And I said, that the governor, I said, that you have vetoed 8 very good water bills that Representative Griffin had proposed, and one of them was the 1221 bill, and that one would help. Now, there's a difference between an AMA. Well, so she vetoed all of those, and then she comes in and imposes that AMA. And I'm thinking, there was solutions through your legislature, and we have been accused of not doing our job, and that gets me angry. That gets me upset that we have been accused of not doing our job, and we have been doing our job. And then she turns around and vetoes that, and then months later she comes in and says that she's going to impose an AMA there on the Willcox water basin. And we're looking at challenging that. We've already looked at challenging that legally, but we have no standing because of the way the laws are written. And the laws are really clear that the director unilaterally, by himself, can make that decision. It is crazy. And that goes against the will of the people. Now, the people have already spoken. When I said that that I'd spoken at that one hearing, I said the very fact that this is unconstitutional because the people have spoken, and it's the people who decide, how they're going to live and what kind of laws they should live under. And here we have a governor that is saying, no, we know best. We're going to do this for you, and I don't like that at all. So there are some solutions that we're looking at, but before I go on to the solutions, I'm going to tell you that I've heard from the wine industry, from the nut growers industry. They were thinking about. There was one company, one of the agricultural folks. They were going to be planting a grove of olives. And they had a 2-week period to plant these olives. And so they canceled their order because this is the week that or the 2-week period that they were going to be doing that. Canceled their order. Millions of dollars went into infrastructure. Now, there are some laws and some leeway there for some of the people that have already put some of that money in, is what I'm hearing. Some of the work that we're doing, I heard one of the senators said that he's looking at extending or expanding the cap limit that the agriculture will fall under for water usage. They're going to try to expand that, but that won't go into effect until, until after the session is over. I have across that. So one of them looked at suing the governor and suing the director of ADWR. And I found out we really don't have standing because of the way that the laws are written. And the law, the piece that I'm talking about is ARS 45-4-412. And it says that the director may, he does not have to designate an area. And this is the first time that anyone has ever done this. Now, I'm hearing that the governor and the director, they want to control the waters. They're after the Arizona waters. But the next aquifer, or the next water basin that they're after, is going to be the San Pedro Valley, and that's our valley here. And they're
in Sierra Vista.
Sierra Vista. We live under the San Pedro Valley water aquifer, and so I'm hearing those rumors that she's going to come and come in this direction. So we need to stop. We need to stop them. We need to stop her. I think it's fully unconstitutional, and for a government and unilaterally decide that they can do this without the will of the people, it's just not something that I think that it's not. I know that's not something we need to live under. I have several bills. I'm proposing. ADWR has too much time on their hands, and I'm going full blast after them. They have too much time on their hands. Now, the governor, if you recall, and if you've read along, if you've read what's been happening with the with the valley, that's Phoenix Valley. She went ahead and put a moratorium on building by curtailing the water use in that in the Phoenix area. And so she went ahead and put a moratorium on any kind of water use. And yet she's talking about economic development and trying to mitigate the homeless there's housing crises, there's homelessness, and she just doesn't know what she's doing. And so when it comes down to water, they've got too much time on their hands. So one of my first bills that I have is that I want to cut their funding back, because I'm on appropriations. So I want to cut and I've already proposed this. I want to cut their funding back 65%. Now, the reason I bring up the moratorium that she put on the valley is that she's got a department that handles the 100% water assurance certificates. It's a whole branch of that agency, and since she put the moratorium in June, they have not issued one certificate. And my question is what are those 60 to 80 employees doing? They're doing nothing. So we're going to start cutting back their budget. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to clip the water director's wings. I've got a thing that says that he can no longer unilaterally make the decision to establish an AMA, and the clause says he can only do that as long as there's voter approval. And so that's my first bill that I have going on. The other one is the assistant. We're going to have assistant grants through WIFA to be able to help some of the farmers that are going to be hurting because through this establishment of the AMA. The AMAs hurt agriculture, the bigger agricultural industry, and so we're going to try to help them out, trying to weather this through. And what we're hoping to do is that if we can give them a little assistance, get some of these laws. Now, my other bill that I have going is to be able to grandfathered right extension. Now, this is the one that's probably going to help a whole lot. It takes about 18 months to establish an AMA, so it'll put you right into the election season. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend that out and grandfather right, because a lot of these ranchers and farmers will need that time to apply for their grandfather right. So during that turnover, we're hoping that we're going to see a Republican governor that understands agriculture. And so we're going to have bills ready to drop that's going to fix this. And if we can get more seats, then we can get an emergency clause that will allow the law to be implemented immediately. And then the other, one of the other things that we're doing, and there's another solution that's there, is to put it into adjudication. And it has to come from the outside. That means that the industry has to get together and decide whether they're going to sue the governor and ADWR. And so we're making the phone calls. We're talking to some of the players right now to see how that's going to come through. That's going to be up to them. We can't do anything with that, so we're really looking at that.
And who is ADWR?
That's a good question. I'm now living in the acronym world. ADWR. It's Arizona Department of Water Resources.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
Yeah. And so they do have a big budget, and hopefully they won't have such a big budget when we're done with it. So yes.
Now you're part of the legislature representing Arizona here for our area.
Yes.
Is it Republican controlled or not?
Yes, the House is Republican controlled right now. We have a majority in the House, but it's a 3-vote majority. It's we have, let's see, how many do we have? We have 33 in the House, and we have 16, 17 in the Senate. So it's a controlled House and Senate. But we have a governor that promised to veto much of what we do. And she did. She proved that out over the past 2 sessions.
Okay, so even if you pass this legislation that you're proposing,
right,
she could veto it,
yes,
and has enough votes to override the legislation.
She will do that, yes. And so this is one of the reasons I'm coming to you. We need to let everybody know what the governor is doing. And she is a one-term governor. We need to make her a one-term governor. And we're in a red district that is fully agriculture, and this move will stop all economic development in a county that has been in a steady decline in population and economy. We cannot allow this to happen for long term. So we're here for the long fight. It's going to be a long game. It's going to be a long game. So we understand that it is a long game. So we're looking at the pieces and how they will fall, and we'll bring some of this legislation back again the next session.
Is there any chance at all to get together with, like, the mayor of Willcox, some dignitaries in the area, including yourself, some other legislators, and just have a one-on-one meeting with the governor? Or have you tried that already and it hasn't worked? Is there any last-ditch effort to try to appeal to her and by meeting with her?
There has been many meetings over with her. You can ask Representative Griffin to see how many meetings that they've had. There are several legislators that have come together along with her and her staff. So there's you have there's other government groups that are handling different pieces, and they've all come to the table, and this is where we've heard, and I've not been to those meetings, but this is where I've heard that she's after controlling the waters of Arizona, and I'm not just saying that flippantly. There's a term that is called a well sweep. They're starting to sweep the wells in the Graham County right now. Sweeping wells means that they're starting to, inspect the wells and then document how much water is coming out of them at this time. And ranchers are very, very upset, and they're saying that we're not going to allow these people to come into our property. So there's a bit of tension against the district coming into or the department coming into the district and that one water aquifer. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So the legislative session underway officially now, but your main concern and emphasis is on the active management area in Willcox and trying to help bring some sort of help and resolution to the farmers and the residents there in the Willcox area in particular, it sounds like. Right now, you got your hands full.
Yeah, there's several of us that are working together on this. So that will affect all of rural Arizona, and so whatever we do with Willcox will affect and be beneficial for all of rural Arizona. And we're talking about agriculture, but this comes down to industry, all commercial, commercial endeavors. Anywhere there's water use, they're talking about expanding. I've heard expansion of the nuclear plant out there. It uses water. There's power plants that need water. There's water. Water is the essence of everything that we do. Everything. It feeds our state. It promotes industry. Everything that we're doing. So yeah, it's a real key thing. And she made it. She in her state address, she made it the #1 issue. And so we're responding back to that. And there are, of course, we're going to be doing our due diligence in every other area as well. The border is a big issue. We're going to be looking at that. We're working along with our law enforcement, and hopefully with the new administration at the federal level, we'll be seeing some of that. The one problem that we find that's going to be taking place is that, DOJ is coming in at the government level with Vic Ramaswamy. And I got to hear him in D.C. about 2 weeks ago, and he said, the states, get ready, because there's a lot of funding that comes from the federal government down into the states. So he said, just get ready, because there's going to be some cuts taking place with the DOJ. And so we've already had our first 2 appropriation meetings already, and the governor is supposed to be presenting her, which you need to be on top of, is her budget request. She's going to propose her budget on Tuesday, and I sit on appropriations. So we're looking forward to that. There's going to be a lot of challenges to that budget, and I hope we're going to be able to stand on that one budget. So, yeah.
All right. Well, if representatives in your district, in our area here, would like to get a hold of you, the best way to do that is through lupediazaz.com.
Right.
And there's a contact area in there on the website.
There is.
I'm sure. And then you're on Facebook as well, too. They can message you there as well, too, and reach out to you with anybody that has any concerns. Not just on the water thing, but other issues of concern that someone may have, one of your constituents. You're available anytime.
That's right. And we're also going to be. I was asked, how can voters and people get involved? We're gonna be putting together just a little bit of instruction on how to get on the RTS system. What you do is you log into the onto the Arizona legislature, and you can actually look up the bills and weigh in. You can you can say, I'm in favor of this, I'm not in favor of this, and then you can actually say why, and that is recorded at the clerk's office there at the state. So we'll put the links in there so that people can get involved, and we as legislators, when we're looking at a bill, we do look at those.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
We'll be providing that information.
Sounds good. Well, Representative Lupe Diaz, any other final thoughts here? Did we pretty much cover the things you wanted to cover this time around with our first update of 2025?
Being a Republican, we're a constitutional republic, and again, we're always look at everything from the Constitution as the founders decided to have that and taxation, taxes is always an issue. There's a lot of things, and so we need to be creative on how we fund the services that we provide for the people. And I'm saying that the state of Arizona provides for the people, and so we'll be working along with those kind of things. But yes, Republican values are those things that keep us a free people and a free country. And so I think that the voters voted that way with this past election. And we saw Trump come in, we saw some Republicans come in at the supervisor level, and we're happy with what happened at the state as well. So thank you, Todd.
You bet. Thank you, Representative Lupe Diaz, for joining us, and we'll catch you again next time with another legislative update down the road.
Very good. Thank you.
You bet.